The phone call came at 2:17 p.m. on a Thursday. Bumpy Johnson was at Small's Paradise going over the week's numbers when Julius Gordon walked into the office, his face tight with controlled anger. "We've got a problem." Bumpy looked up from the ledger. What kind of problem? The kind that comes from family. Bumpy set down his pen. Julius had been with him for 15 years. He didn't use that tone unless something was seriously wrong. "Sit down, talk." Julius closed the door, sat across from Bumpy's desk. "Raymond sold you out." The name hit Bumpy like cold water. Raymond Johnson, his cousin, his mother's sister's son. They'd grown up together in Charleston before both families moved to Harlem. Raymond was 32 now, worked as a numbers runner in Bumpy's organization, made decent money, had a wife and 2 kids. Sold me out how? Genovese put out a contract 2 weeks ago. $50,000 for information leading to a clean hit. No witnesses, no heat. They've been trying to find a pattern in your movements, figure out when you're vulnerable. They couldn't, so they started looking for someone inside who could tell them. And Raymond took the money? Yesterday. Met with Tony Accardo at a diner in the Bronx. Gave him your schedule for the next week. Where you'll be, when, who you'll be with, everything. Bumpy was quiet for a moment. "How do you know this?" "We've had eyes on Genovese's operations since they made the threat. One of their lower guys, kid named Paulie, he's sweet on a girl who works at that diner. She called him after she saw Raymond meeting with Accardo. Paulie told us, didn't want a war, figured we'd appreciate the heads up." "And you're certain it was Raymond?" "Positive. Paulie showed us a photo the girl took. It's him, sitting across from Accardo, taking an envelope. Thick envelope. 50,000. Probably. That's the going rate." Bumpy stood up, walked to the window overlooking 135th Street. Thursday afternoon. People walking to work, coming home from work, living their lives. Normal day in Harlem, except his own cousin had just sold him to the mob for the price of a down payment on a house. Where's Raymond now? Home, Lenox Avenue. He doesn't know we know. And Genovese? They're planning the hit for tomorrow night. You're supposed to be at Rouse for a meeting with some suppliers at 8 p.m. Accardo's setting up 3 shooters outside. They wait for you to leave, hit you on the street, make it look like a robbery. Bumpy turned from the window. "Cancel the meeting. Tell the suppliers something came up." "Already done." "Good. Now I need you to do something else. Name it. Bring Raymond here, 6 p.m. Don't tell him why. Just tell him I want to see him. Family business." Julius stood. "You want me to bring backup?" "No, just Raymond. This is going to be a conversation." "Bumpy." "I'm not going to hurt him, Julius. I'm not that man. But he needs to understand what he's done. And he needs to leave New York. Tonight." Julius nodded and left. Bumpy stood at the window for a long time, watching Harlem move below him. Family. The word tasted bitter now. Raymond Johnson arrived at Small's Paradise at 5:58 p.m. He walked into Bumpy's office, smiling, relaxed, carrying a newspaper under his arm like he didn't have a care in the world. "Hey, cousin. Julius said you wanted to see me. Everything okay?" Bumpy was sitting behind his desk, hands folded, looking at Raymond the way a judge looks at a defendant. "Sit down, Raymond." Something in Bumpy's tone made Raymond's smile falter. He sat. "You needed something?" "Yeah. I need you to explain something to me." "Okay, what?" "Why you met with Tony Accardo yesterday at a diner in the Bronx. Why you took $50,000 from him, and why you gave him my schedule for the next week." The color drained from Raymond's face. He started to speak, stopped, started again. I don't know what you're talking about." Bumpy opened a drawer, pulled out a photograph, slid it across the desk. The photo showed Raymond sitting in a booth across from Tony Accardo, clear as day, an envelope on the table between them. Raymond stared at the photo. His hands started shaking. "I can explain." "Then explain." Raymond's voice cracked. "They approached me 3 weeks ago, said they'd kill my family if I didn't help them, said they'd burn my house down with my wife and kids inside. I didn't want to, Bumpy, I swear, but they threatened my family." "So you sold out your family to save your family? That the story?" "They were going to kill them." "No, they weren't." Bumpy's voice was cold, flat. "They were lying to you, Raymond. That's what they do. They find weak men, they threaten them, and they use them. And you proved you were weak." "Bumpy, please." "Did they threaten your family before or after they offered you $50,000? Raymond went silent. "Before or after, Raymond?" he whispered. "After. So they offered you money first, 50,000, and when you hesitated, that's when they threatened your family. To give you an excuse, to make you feel like you didn't have a choice. But you did have a choice. You could have come to me. You could have told me what they were trying to do, and I would have protected you. I would have protected your wife, your kids, your home. That's what family does." Tears started running down Raymond's face. "I'm sorry. God, Bumpy, I'm sorry. I didn't think." "No, you didn't think. You thought about the money. You thought about what you could buy with it. A new house, maybe, new car, get out of debt. And you convinced yourself that giving them my schedule wasn't really betraying me, that I'd be fine, that I always am, that Bumpy Johnson is untouchable. So what difference does it make?" Raymond was sobbing now. "I made a mistake. I know I did. Please, I'll give the money back. I'll tell Genovese I lied. I'll fix this." "You can't fix this, Raymond. Tomorrow night, 3 shooters were supposed to kill me outside Rouse because of you, because you told them where I'd be and when. If Julius hadn't found out, I'd be dead right now, shot down on the street like a dog, and you'd be $50,000 richer." "I didn't think they'd actually do it. I thought—" "You thought what? That they were paying you $50,000 for information they weren't going to use? You're not that stupid, Raymond. You knew exactly what they were going to do. You just didn't care." The office was silent, except for Raymond's crying. Bumpy stood up, walked around the desk, leaned against it, looking down at his cousin. "You know what the worst part is? It's not that you betrayed me. People betray me. It's what I do for a living. I expect it from enemies, from rivals, from people who want what I have. But you were blood. We grew up together. I gave you a job when nobody else would hire you. I helped you when your daughter was sick. I was at your wedding. I'm godfather to your son. And you sold me for money." "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't bring back trust, Raymond. Sorry doesn't undo what you've done. Sorry is just a word people say when they get caught." Bumpy walked to the window, looked out at Harlem again. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave New York tonight. You, your wife, your kids. You're going to pack 2 suitcases. That's it. 2 suitcases. And you're going to get on whatever train, bus, or car that takes you as far from here as possible." "Bumpy, please, this is my home." "Your home was Harlem when you had family here. You don't have family here anymore. You gave that up when you took Genovese's money." "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't care. Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, just as long as it's not New York and not anywhere I might visit. Because if I see your face again, Raymond, I won't be as generous as I'm being right now." "Generous? You're throwing me out of the city." Bumpy turned from the window, and the look in his eyes made Raymond shrink back in his chair. "Generous, Raymond. Because there are men in this city who'd kill you for what you did. Men who'd make your wife a widow and your children orphans. I'm not doing that. I'm letting you live. I'm letting you take your family somewhere safe and start over. That's generous. That's mercy. That's me treating you better than you treated me. What about the money? What about it? The 50,000. Do I have to give it back? Bumpy stared at him. You really just asked me that? I just thought, keep it, Bumpy said coldly. Keep every penny. Use it to start your new life wherever you're going. Buy a house, start a business, send your kids to good schools. Just know that every time you spend it, every time you look at what it bought you, you'll remember. You got that money by selling out your family, by betraying the one person who would have died protecting you. So yeah, Raymond, keep the money. I hope it's worth it. Raymond sat there, defeated, broken. I need to call my wife. You've got 30 minutes. Tell her to pack. Tell her you got a job opportunity in another city. Tell her whatever you want. But in 30 minutes, Julius is driving you to Penn Station, and you're getting on a train, and you're not coming back. Can I at least say goodbye to people? No. Bumpy, no. You don't get goodbyes. You don't get a farewell party. You leave quietly, like a thief in the night, because that's what you are now, a thief who stole from his own family. Raymond stood up, legs shaking. I really am sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you're losing your home. You're sorry you have to leave, but you're not sorry for what you did. Because if you were really sorry, you wouldn't have asked about keeping the money. Raymond walked to the door, stopped, turned back one last time. Will you at least make sure Genovese doesn't come after me for not delivering? And that's when Bumpy smiled. Not a warm smile, a cold, calculating smile. Oh, don't worry about Genovese. What do you mean? I mean, I'm going to let him know that you fed him bad information, that the meeting at Rouse was never real, that you took his 50,000 and gave him garbage. And when his 3 shooters show up tomorrow night and I'm not there, he's going to know you played him. Raymond's eyes went wide. He'll kill me. Then I suggest you get very far from New York very fast, because I'm making that call in about 32 minutes, right after Julius puts you on that train. You can't do that. I can. And I am. Because you need to understand something, Raymond. Actions have consequences. You betrayed me to Genovese. Now Genovese is going to think you betrayed him. And wherever you run, you're going to spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, wondering if today's the day they find you. That's your punishment, not death. Fear. The same fear you should have had before you sold out your family. Raymond's legs gave out. He grabbed the doorframe to stay standing. Please, please don't do this. 30 minutes, Raymond. Penn Station. Don't be late. Raymond stumbled out of the office. Bumpy sat back down at his desk, picked up his pen, went back to the ledger like nothing had happened. But his hand was shaking, just slightly, because that had been his cousin, his blood, someone he'd loved, and now that person was gone. At 6:28 p.m., Julius put Raymond and his family on a train to Chicago. Raymond's wife didn't understand what was happening. The kids were crying, confused about why they were leaving so suddenly. Raymond said nothing, just stared out the window as the train pulled out of Penn Station, watching New York disappear behind him. At 6:35 p.m., Bumpy made a phone call. This is Bumpy Johnson. I need to speak with Vito Genovese. 30 seconds later, Genovese was on the line. Bumpy, to what do I owe the pleasure? I'm calling about the contract, the 50,000 you paid my cousin for information. There was a pause. How did you... I know everything that happens in Harlem, Vito, including when my own family betrays me. But here's the thing. Raymond lied to you. That meeting tomorrow at Rayo's, it's not happening. Never was. He fed you bad intel and pocketed your money. So if you send those 3 shooters tomorrow night, you're going to be waiting for someone who never shows up. Another pause. Where is Raymond now? On a train to Chicago, left 6 minutes ago. I'd suggest you hurry if you want to catch him before he gets there. Though I imagine he'll keep moving once he arrives. Smart man would. You're giving him up. I'm informing you that you got played. What you do with that information is your business. Why are you telling me this? Because Raymond betrayed both of us. He betrayed me by selling my schedule. He betrayed you by selling you garbage, and I believe in fairness. He took your money under false pretenses. You have a right to collect on that debt." Genovese was quiet for a long moment. "You know I'm going to kill him. That's between you and him. I'm just making sure you have accurate information. Professional courtesy." Professional courtesy after he tried to get you killed.
"He's not my family anymore," Bumpy said quietly. "The moment he took your money, he stopped being my family. So whatever happens to him now is just business. And in business, cheating gets you killed." "I appreciate the call, Bumpy. One more thing, yeah? After you handle Raymond, we're even on the contract. No more attempts. We go back to the way things were. And if I say no, then I stop being professional, and you know what happens when I stop being professional." Genovese laughed. "Fair enough. Consider the contract canceled after I deal with your cousin." "He's not my cousin anymore." Bumpy hung up. He sat in his office for a long time after that, staring at the phone. Then he opened the bottom drawer of his desk, pulled out a bottle of whiskey and a glass, poured 3 fingers, drank it in one swallow. Julius knocked and entered. "Train's gone. They're headed to Chicago." "Good. You really called Genovese?" "I did." "Raymond's a dead man." "Probably." Julius sat down. "You okay?" "No, but I will be." "You did the right thing." "Did I? I just sentenced my cousin to death." "He sentenced himself. You gave him a chance to run, more than he deserved." "Maybe." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Bumpy spoke. "You know what the worst part is? It's that I understand why he did it. $50,000. That's life-changing money. That's a house, a car, security. I understand the temptation. What I don't understand is how he looked at that money and thought it was worth more than family. How he thought it was worth more than the person who'd protected him his whole life. Some people don't value loyalty until they lose it. Yeah, and by then it's too late." 3 days later, Raymond's body was found in a Chicago alley, shot 3 times, once in each knee, once in the head. The knees were a message. You ran, but not far enough. The head was business. The Chicago police investigated, found nothing, filed it as an unsolved homicide. Raymond's wife took the kids and moved to Detroit, changed their last name, started over. She never knew the full story, never knew what Raymond had done. Bumpy made sure of that. Sent her an anonymous envelope with $10,000 and a note for the children. Use it wisely. She did. Put the kids through school. Made sure they had opportunities Raymond would never have given them. And in Harlem, people talked about how Bumpy's own cousin had betrayed him for money, about how Bumpy had given him 6 hours to leave, about how the cousin had begged, about how Bumpy had been merciful enough to let him run, but just enough to let Genovese catch him. Some people said it was cruel, others said it was justice. Bumpy never spoke about it publicly, but those close to him noticed something changed after that. He became more careful about who he trusted, more distant with people who claimed to be family, more aware that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. And whenever someone new joined his organization, whenever someone asked him what the most important quality was, he always said the same thing: loyalty. Not to me, to the principle. Because the moment you put money over people, the moment you betray trust for personal gain, you've lost the only thing that actually matters. And once you lose that, you can't buy it back. Not for 50,000, not for 1,000,000, not for anything. Years later, someone asked Bumpy if he regretted what happened to Raymond. Bumpy thought for a long time before answering. "I regret that he made the choice he made. I regret that I couldn't trust my own blood. I regret that his children grew up without a father. But do I regret giving him the chance to run? No. Do I regret telling Genovese the truth? No. Because Raymond had a choice. He could have come to me when Genovese approached him. He could have been honest. He could have chosen family over money, but he didn't. And every choice has a consequence. His consequence was that he lost everything: his home, his family, his life. That's not my fault. That's his. But you could have protected him. From Genovese, maybe, for a while. But what about the next time someone offered him money? What about the time after that? Raymond showed me who he really was. And once you know that about someone, once you know they'll betray you for the right price, you can't unknow it. So I gave him the only gift I could: time. 6 hours to run. 6 hours to try to save himself. He didn't run far enough. That's on him. Do you ever think about him? Every day. Because he was my cousin, because we grew up together, because I loved him, and because he taught me the hardest lesson I ever learned: that love and loyalty aren't the same thing. You can love someone and still not trust them. You can call someone family and still have to let them go. That's what Raymond taught me, and I've never forgotten it. In the end, the story became another legend in Harlem, about the man who valued loyalty above all else, about the cousin who betrayed him for money, about the 6 hours between the betrayal and the begging, about how Bumpy Johnson was merciful enough to let family run, but just enough to let justice catch up. People said it was the coldest thing he ever did. Others said it was the smartest. Bumpy just said it was necessary, because in his world, in the world he'd built, loyalty was currency, and Raymond had tried to spend it. The price for that was everything, not paid to Bumpy, paid to the streets, and the streets always collected their debts. Always.